Greetings and welcome to Gnodcast with Gnod founding members Paddy Shine and Chris Haslam. Gnod bless.
All right, Jason, how are you?
I'm good, Paddy. Thanks. How are you guys?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks for asking us to do this.
Yeah, no worries.
mate. Of course.
Glad to have you.
How could we not have you? How could we not have the myth, the man, the legend, Jason Stoll
Too kind.
on the Gnodcast? If you wouldn't mind kicking it off, who you are and what you've a little brief.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we should just kick off and do a little introduction. Yeah. So, my name's Jason Stoll. I play bass, guitar. So I've played in a number of different bands over the years. Currently, I'm in 5 different bands. I'm in a band called Sex Swing, who are on the same label as you guys, Rocket. I'm in a band called Clamp, Twin Sister, which is with the guys from Dead Neanderthals. So it's a Dutch-based project. Another one called Domes, which is some guy Greg Wynn.
Yeah.
With Alex. And I'm also in a band called JAAW, which is quite a new project with Wayne Adams, Adam Betts, and Andy Kearns from Therapy.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that's your man from Therapy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we Wayne and I just had this brief conversation a couple of years ago about how Wayne should record Therapy, and then Wayne said to me, "No, we should do a band with Andy." So so I asked Andy, and we ended up recording an album like 6 weeks later.
Wow.
That's the main thing I'm focusing on at the moment, because we've got like the album coming out in May. We've had a couple of single come out recently.
Yeah. I heard that. It's very, very industrial, man. Very heavy.
Yeah, well, that was a vibe we went for, a bit more like of a 90s industrial heavy vibe with it. And I think we captured it pretty well.
Definitely.
So that's really exciting doing that project.
How did you know Andy Kearns?
Say again?
How do you know Andy Kearns? Like, how do you know him?
Well, it's just through. He started liking a lot of like God Unknown stuff, my label that I do. So he started. The Therapy Twitter page, Instagram page started liking a lot of God Unknown things had been posting. He's a big fan of a band called Rainbow Grave.
Oh yeah.
Label.
They're great.
Yeah, they're brilliant. So I just reached out and said, "Oh, thanks for liking the stuff," and we ended up chatting, and it turned out that it was actually Andy doing the Instagram page. So we just got to know each other over the past 3 or 4 years. But yeah, he's a lovely guy, really nice. Considering the level that he achieved with a lot of his music, like multi-million selling albums and stuff. He's a very grounded guy, and also he's still got a massive passion for great music.
Yeah.
So, and I think that really comes across when you talk to him, and the idea for doing this band was purely come out of that. That he still had the passion to do great things.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool that he's still like, it's sometimes, I don't know, I guess it's easy to imagine that if you do what he's done, and you might just get a bit bored of like listening to or seeking out new heavy music. But obviously with him being into God Unknown stuff, he's obviously still a seeker, isn't he? He's still
totally, he's
still searching.
Yeah, loads of different independent labels in the UK, elsewhere. He's always reaching out for new stuff. So he's
cool.
He's still got that passion.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
And for me, it's like quite an accolade as well, being in a band with him. Because when I was like a teenager, the first couple of Therapy EPs were really influential for me. So it's a nice sort of full circle to be able to. Yeah.
Nice, man. Excellent.
And the other thing with other bands I've been in, I was in a band called Mugstar, and that's how I met you guys.
That's how we met, yeah.
Very long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think
Mugstar
about it.
were. Go
Go
on,
on.
sorry. Go on,
I was going
mate.
to say, I
Go
was
on.
thinking about it last night, how when we first met, and I think it was when we put you on with White Hills in that church in Liverpool, where you
Yeah.
wore blankets or something over your head
Yeah.
when we were playing keys.
Yeah. We were talking about this last night because we were chatting to Gareth. You know, remember Gareth Smith from
Oh, from
Stranger
Stranger
Son?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were chatting to him last night, and one of his earliest Nod memories is seeing us play a gig where we were doing the similar thing. We were underneath the tarpaulins, underneath the blankets,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a fucking, that's a phase of Nod I've completely forgotten about. What the fuck we were even doing, I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think I might have met you before that.
Say again.
yeah.
I think I might have met you before that in a retro bar. You were playing retro bar around the. I think Stranger Son might have been supporting you.
Yeah, that's when I remember seeing
Yeah.
Mugstar first. And Mugstar were this like fucking. For some reason, you all looks like you were about 6 or 7 foot tall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like you all are actually, but you all look like giants, and you were fucking a pretty like intimidating kind of crew, really. Well, you were that night anyway to me, and I thought, fucking hell, who are these lot?
I remember
Like,
you all.
fucking hell.
I remember you all look like boxers.
Yeah, there you go.
We always used to train prior to a gig.
Yeah. But there was something about it. There was something fairly like, not like intimidating, like scary, like a bunch of fucking meatheads or something like that. But there was something about it, and with the sound as well. At that time, for me, I don't know. I guess the Mugstar sound was kind of fresh, new to my ears. Like I wasn't listening to a lot of music like that. I wasn't around that kind of music really, and it was fucking heavy, man. Really
Yeah.
good.
It
Really,
was
really good.
great experience playing in that band. It was
Yeah.
Led me to meet a lot of great people. Yourself.
Yeah, innit? Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you must have been going on for a while. That I mean, how long were Mugstar playing together?
Well, I joined. I was in them for 16 years, but prior to that, they've been going for like maybe 10 years before that.
Wow.
I never really played any gigs outside of Liverpool until I joined. Hadn't really released anything apart from a couple of CDR sort of demos. So yeah, my old band in Liverpool, we used to play with them quite a lot, and for me, they were like just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen when we first started playing with them in Liverpool. So
What was your old band? What was that?
it was more of an indie rock thing. It was a bit more influenced by sort of Sebado, Superchunk.
Okay.
Sort of stuff. We did a couple of singles on our own label. John Peel played us a few times, and got a few features in the Enemy. But yeah, it's
What were you called?
Oh yeah, we were called Playhouse.
Playhouse. Okay. Yeah, Don. Yeah. So, is there any of that online? Can we watch any Playhouse online or anything? Or
I don't think there's
listen
any
to?
videos online, but I'll send you a link to some music.
Yeah, cool. That'd be
Yeah.
great. And would you mind us sharing it as part of the podcast when we share the podcast?
No, not at all. Of course, yeah.
It's nice to have a little bit of background. You know what I mean? Like as much as possible. So,
Well, my music my musical career started when I was about 16. When I left school, I always wanted to play guitar, but I never got a guitar. So with my first ever wages, I bought the cheapest guitar in the shop, in this guitar shop, which was a pink Stratocaster.
nice.
Solid metal. But I thought that I would paint it. But I also thought that before I paint it, I'll probably sound like Jimi Hendrix within 2 weeks. That never happened. So we ended up taking it back to the shop and swapping it for a bass, which is quite a fateful thing to do. Looking back on it now, but what I realised later that the bass was actually a fretless bass. So my first two guitars were, not very metal at all. Although I wasn't a metal. Sorry?
When did you go for the Rickenbacker? When did you start getting on that then?
Yeah, well, I was always like a fan of like Motorhead as a kid and stuff, and I always
Yeah.
wanted one.
Yeah.
And then years ago, I found a cheap copy in some. It wasn't Cash Converters, but it was a similar sort of shop to Cash Converters. It was ridiculously cheap, like 150 quid at the time or something.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and I realised that you could also buy the nameplate, the headstock nameplate. So I swapped that, and I had a proper Rickenbacker then. And then I actually got I've got two now, two originals. I bought one off a guy in Manchester who was emigrating to Spain, and I bought it for like 300 quid.
Wow.
Wow.
And then I
Nice.
bought one a few years ago off a girl I used to work with, her boyfriend. He was totally into metal and had recently bought himself a 5-string bass and was getting rid of his Rickenbacker
Wow.
out of him for 400 quid. So it was
That's all right, isn't it?
right,
So
yeah.
he's a proper metaler then,
He's a proper
5-string
metaler,
bass,
yeah,
5-string
yeah.
bass. That's real metal. Wow, cool.
Yeah,
And so
but I love a
fucking
Rickenbacker. It's a great sounding bass. It's very, very driving and stuff. So
yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. I wouldn't mind even fucking. They make guitars, don't they, Rickenbacker? I think I played a Rickenbacker
yeah.
guitar. I think I have.
one like John Lennon used to have, like a 365 maybe. But
Okay.
they also do one with the bass body.
That's the one, yeah. Yeah, that's the
which
one
is
I've
really
seen.
nice. I think the guy
Yeah.
from Kasabian has one.
Right, fucking hell.
Your favorite band.
Yeah, I might hold off on getting one of them then. Is it who's your man from Kasabian? Isn't that the guy who is it the guy out of the is it Noel Fielding? Is that his name? Something like that.
He looks like him.
Russell Brand. Russell
Yeah.
Brand. I remember Kasabian. I remember my old band Sundowner. We were playing this is going like 20 odd years ago or something, and we played at the Castle in Oldham.
Oh yeah.
And the night before or the weekend before we played at the Castle, Kasabian had played there. And all these kids that had come to see Sundowner were all just like, oh, yeah, you're all right, but you're not as good as Kasabian. and then like sort of like 3 weeks later or a month later, Kasabian were like the next Oasis or some shit like that. They were like massive. They became a really big band, didn't they? Which kind of shows you how shit they are, really. And you only get that big if you're shit, right? These days, in the last 20 years, right? I mean, I don't know. I could be talking.
Yeah, totally.
shit.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
But yeah, that's not going to be the case for JAAW, man. And JAAW, you're going to be JAAW are going to be the exception to the rule, maybe. Do you know what I mean?
I think yeah.
You never know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you got
Sorry?
plans to tour the shits out of it then? Are you going to tour it?
Well, because everyone's doing their own thing. Like Andy's, the Therapy have got a new album out this year as well.
No way. Okay,
So
wow.
wow. So we've got 2 shows booked. We're going to do run of shows in September, and then hopefully do some things next year. We've been offered quite a few festivals already.
I bet you have.
But we can't do them because people are doing other things. Like the drummer Adam, he plays with Goldie, plays with Jarvis Cocker. So he's busy as well. And
What gold does he play with? Which one?
Goldie.
Oh shit, Goldie, right? Fucking hell. Wow, he must be a fucking sick drummer then.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, fucking hell. Proper drum and bass drummer. Ah, yeah. Nice. Wow, so yeah, you're all busy boys then. Fucking hell. But what about
obviously Wayne's busy with the studio and all the stuff he's doing. So
what about the project you've got going with Greg Wynn, this Domes project? Because that's pretty nice as well. I mean, have you any plans to gig that?
Yeah, so we've done. Well, we're going to play with you actually.
That's in April, in May, is it?
Yeah, we're playing in I think is it Amsterdam and then Utrecht.
Yeah,
nice. Oh, so are you going to play with us in that the Oki show?
Okay, yeah, think so.
Ah, fucking nice. That'll be a nice night.
Yeah. But yeah, well, we're hopefully I can record an album this year and then try and get some stuff. Try and get it out probably beginning of next year and do some shows around it.
Who's in that? Who's in that band?
Well, it's a load of people, English people who live in Holland.
Okay.
There's a girl from Bristol called Sarah. There's a
Yeah.
drummer, a guy called Rowan, who's from up by Carlisle somewhere.
Okay.
Greg's girlfriend, Rachel,
Ah, yeah. Nice. What does Rachel do in the band?
she does keys.
Ah, okay. Nice. Nice.
But yeah, it seems like a lovely thing to do. Greg and I have been talking about it for a few years about doing something a bit more like a sad song project, because he said he had a
Nice.
lot of songs which are really like down. I had a
Yeah.
load as well. So we just
Okay.
started sending ideas backwards and forwards to each other.
Nice.
And yeah, it
Nice.
works really well. I think Greg and I really work well together.
Yeah, cool.
We do Clamp together as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything happening with Clamp? Are you recording anything new or?
Well, we're going to record with Wayne in the end of May.
Okay. Wow.
So the band has actually grown into a 6-piece now because Rachel's joined that one as well.
Wow.
We've
Fucking hell.
also got Dev from Idols to play second bass.
Okay. Wow.
So could be an interesting thing.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, fucking hell, Jason, where do you get all the time and fucking energy to do all this fucking shit, man?
Yeah, fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
When
It's
I look at
amazing.
it objectively, I'm like, fucking hell, how do we do this? But then not every band is like full on all the time, you know. So
Yeah.
like this month we got a Sex Wing show, then we're gonna go away for a few days to do some writing.
Yeah.
Then we haven't got nothing else booked. And then next month it's gonna be more JAAW stuff. And then the month after that it's gonna be Clamp.
Yeah.
So it tends to work in that way of just like putting a sort of time frame on it.
Yeah. I could do it.
Really.
I could do it getting a bit more organized like that because I'm like yourself. I don't always live in the UK or live where I'm not always where my bands are, where the people I want to play music are. So I'm back and forth all the time, and it stresses me out a bit. Even though I choose to do it, it kind of it stresses me out a little bit because I'll have times, it's a bit like this when you're somewhere. You wish you were somewhere else. I have a lot of that, I'd be somewhere and I'd be like, fuck, I should be over there doing this now. I need to get a little bit more organized in like where I actually like picking times and dates to do stuff. But
I think that's it. Just try and be a bit more sort of
Yeah.
rigid with what you want to do and achieve, and have some time set aside for each individual thing.
yeah,
And that's the way I've found it works for me,
yeah. I mean, I do all right with it. I have a few projects on the go and stuff's all happening. We're all getting releases and gigs, but I'd actually just wish I could spend more time playing music with people. You know what I mean? It's all good. I mean, I have these big gaps of not having anybody to play music with. Do you know what I mean? Like within the project, so I have time on my own, which is fine. But
Yeah.
I'm starting to think now I need to be around people more to actually play. But I'll work it out. It's all, you know what I mean? So it's good to see somebody like yourself who's fucking got 2 kids and fucking traveling all over, 5 fucking bands, and you're making it work. You know what I mean? It's fucking amazing. Fair play, man.
Got to make it work, It's
Yeah.
what I want to do and I need to do as well, I feel
Yeah.
It's like for years I worked in a job and not having that constraint now really helps me get more free to be able to do everything I want to do.
Yeah, nice, man.
Is your music your main income then now? Is that your main job?
Well, it's more trying to do the label more as a full-time job. We'll have to do little bits here and there as well to just sort of make ends meet. But
of course,
sorry.
Of course, yeah, of course. It's hard to survive on the music alone, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I mean is, like for years when I was doing Mugstar, especially, I worked, as a social worker for many years, worked full time.
Yeah.
I would do the band as well of an evening and go travel to London, do a show, come back and go to work the following day and stuff. So not having to do that anymore is, having like a, maybe a part-time job here and there.
Yeah.
It's a lot more freeing to be able to do what I want to do with the music. And
For sure, man. Yeah, and like I think when you make that decision, you made that decision to not do the job and step into what you should actually be doing, which is obviously doing the music. Shit just starts to fall into place anyway.
it does, man.
Do you know what I mean? When you make the decision to fucking really go for the thing, the dream, the thing that you want to do, everything else just starts to slot in. That's how it is. It's when you fight against it, I think, is when it becomes difficult. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I think anyway.
Yeah,
How's the
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
How's the label going? Like, how is God Unknown going?
The label's good. So I had a couple of big releases last year. So I released this Monster Magnet record, which was the guitarist who was in the original Monster Magnet, John McBain. I've known him for years because he used to master a lot of the Mugstar stuff, and he started mastering God Unknown records.
Yeah,
but he's like proper legend. He started Monster Magnet. He was in loads of other bands, and he's very well known and well liked. Appreciated in the music scene. So I got the opportunity, like when I was a kid, like the Monster Magnet, Tab, and Spine of God records were like very influential for me. So John asked me one day if I wanted to reissue a version of Tab, which obviously I said yes.
yeah.
So that was quite a big deal doing that last year.
Okay.
So I got that. Did a 7-inch with Low. Did a Duke Garwood record, if you know him.
Yeah.
He did some stuff with Mark Lanigan over the years. With him. So yeah, it's moving forward, and I've got like quite a lot of records coming out this year as well.
Are you allowed to tell us? Give us a clue of some of the.
Yeah. So what have we got coming up? We've got there's this Italian woman I'm releasing a record for called Laura Luriga. It's quite droney. She plays organ, a bass player and drummer. Quite droney, sort of jazzy in inverted commas. It's got like a flow with it. It's a really beautiful record. So I'm releasing that in April. What else have I got? I should know. I've got to should remember this. A record by a guy called John J. Presley. I don't know if you know him.
No.
Going to be doing some stuff with a guy called Scott McLeod, who was in
that name rings a bell.
He was in Girls Against Boys.
Okay. Yeah. I remember them for sure.
Yeah, they were great. So I'm going to release a record for him, and I'm working with this Spanish band who recorded a couple of tracks with Mark Lanigan, Pete Simonelli from The Enablers, and Scott again from Girls Against Boys. What else? Yeah,
nice, man.
There's a whole year worth of stuff coming out.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, and nice. You've obviously got your own thing going there, because a lot of those artists and people you're mentioning there, like that, wouldn't be on my radar. Do you know what I mean? So you've got your radar. You're finding your shit, your sound. Your people for the label. That's great. So you're obviously somebody that still listens to a fuckload of music and still searching.
Yes.
Yeah. You never get bored of it.
It's a constant thing. Do I get bored of it? Well, for a little while, I started listening to audiobooks just to get my mind out of it for a little while. So I go through phases of that, listening to music constantly, and then we'll go through phases where I just need to not listen to a lot of new music, and that doesn't last very long, to be fair.
Okay, yeah. For me, I find that if I am trying to make music, if I'm trying to write, or even if I'm just getting in the zone to think about writing, I have to maybe just step away from listening to music, or other people's music. I can listen to maybe the stuff that I'm doing or ideas, but I can't. That's when I'm not listening to music, is when I'm trying to write. But I mean,
But I think
do.
there's a purity in that, isn't there? You know,
Yeah.
like if you're not focusing on listening to anything else and there's not any of that influence coming in, then there's a
Yeah.
purity in the sense of you're writing stuff that really is you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. And I also think though that what could be happening there is that I'm getting filled up to the brim of stuff that I'm hearing, and then that needs to pour out
Oh yeah.
of me. Do you know what I mean? So like when I've got filled up with it, I'm like, oh, I can't handle it anymore. And then that's when it'll start to come out. You know, it's like fucking, like anything really that you're consuming. At some point, it's going to start. You're going to start fucking sort of acting it out in some way. So that's how it works for me. But I'm always amazed that people like in bands forever and ever and who play music all the time can still listen to so much music and seek out new music. I mean, I would say I'm a bit lazy in that I still seek out new music but I kind of wait for people to present it. I don't go always out like scouring the internet, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, or whatever to find new stuff. I kind of just wait for it to come to me. So I'm always like, I think that's the thing about being passionate about running a label like you are, is like you're actually actively seeking out the new sounds and reaching out to people to get them as well. That's the difference between running a label properly and just doing it as a fucking hobby. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so you're doing it properly, obviously, man. So fair play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard so many great things over the years from doing that. Just like randomly, we'll listen to one thing that'll lead to something else, and then you've found like a whole new area of music you never listened to, and tap into that. And
what first got you into music, Jay?
Well, when I was a kid, it was my cousin. He was into like Kiss, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. So he was 3 years older than me. So he sort of influenced. He was going, listen to this. So it got me into metal really when I was a kid.
Did you listen to music before that? Did you listen to anything? Were you into anything before that?
My mum was very much into the Beatles and stuff, so we always had Beatles records on in the house, and I'm still a big fan of the Beatles now.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you know there's a Red and Blue compilation double album. Yeah, they were on constantly.
Yeah.
So it was always the Beatles. My dad was more of the Kinks, Who fan, so would listen to them a little bit, but mainly more the Beatles.
Nice.
And that's it, really. I think
Can you remember the first song that really did something to you, like changed your kind of sent you somewhere?
Yeah, I remember. I always used to put on "Here Comes the Sun" as a kid on repeat on the record player.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even now, listening to that album really gives me tingles. Listening to
wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I have that with like the first album I really remember as well, though, from being a kid. I can still listen to it now and go back to that place.
Yeah.
And fucking and and it relights the fire every time I hear it as well. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've spoke about it before on previous podcasts we've done, but
I don't remember. Who was it? Come on.
I mean, I was really affected by certain songs when I was a kid. Like, I remember Bright Eyes by Art Garfunkel really affecting me. Like, it used to just send me in floods of tears.
Very emotive song, isn't it?
Yeah. And I looked up the year. I think I must have been like 2 or 3 years old at that point when that was out. But every time it came on the radio, I just used to start fucking crying.
Wow.
And asking my mum why I was so sad and stuff. And and I remember a lot of old folk music, like Lancashire folk music, like fucking Matchstick Men, Matchstick Cats and Dogs. That track, You know, like Mike Harding. Remember, like my dad had these Mike Harding live records. I used to listen to them, and he'd do jokes and then like do a song and yeah, just stuff like that really. And yeah, like Michael Jackson, Madonna a bit later on, just obsessed with Michael Jackson and Madonna. Yeah, but there was some definite records when I was really young that really, even now when I listen to pop music from like the early 80s or the late 70s, it's certain, like Rolls Royce, Love Don't Live Here Anymore. I remember listening to that, just these really sad emotional songs that used to just make me feel like crying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of music, isn't it? That it is.
And Anthea and Donna,
Uptown Top Ranking.
Uptown Top Ranking. Apparently, I used to sing and dance to that when I was a kid.
Will you show us next time I see you?
Well, sorry.
Will you show us your dance next time I see you?
Yeah, I try. Just like a toddler, just jumping up and down on the spot.
Yeah, so well, it's mad in the music game now, like all the options you have to kind of do stuff, whether it's a podcast, you know, have a fucking Patreon, or fund your albums via GoFundMe, you know, a different Instagram page for every fucking band that you've got or project, a different Bandcamp page for every band you've got, you know, it's just mental really, isn't it? Like spend so much time sort of online doing stuff. But I think it's great. I think if you're willing to put the work in and do it, over time, you know, it'll pay off. Maybe not always financially, but it pays off in other ways too. You know.
The thing what I've learned over the years, a lot of the stuff within music, it's all about networking. It's about like people that you know, and you know, building on those relationships, those friendships and stuff. And I think that's the most important thing, you know, to be. And as you say, there, it's good. Doing these podcasts is a good way of keeping in touch with people.
Yeah,
but just having that contact with people and having a network of people around you just brings a lot more to you.
Yeah. And tell me, how do you find sort of gigging like nowadays, like post-pandemic and fucking Brexit and all that stuff? Like, do you notice much difference in touring or?
To be honest, I haven't really done an awful lot. Before COVID, well, the year COVID happened, we went to do like quite a big Sex Swing tour, and that got obviously cancelled. But I haven't really done many gigs since. I haven't done any tours. Did a few shows with Clamp in the UK. But yeah, it's something that I'm hoping to do again. But yeah, I think it's a bit more. I found it a bit more difficult to sort of organise things in the the intermediate period straight after COVID. But it seems like things are getting a lot easier. But then with living here, I haven't really had much issues with Brexit or anything. When Sex Swing did a show, a festival here last year, they flew here, so there was no like carne or anything to organise. I already had T-shirts and merchandise here already. So yeah, I know I spoke to you both about the carne thing and Brexit and stuff. It's sort of fucked things up a hell of a lot, hasn't it? Where like, you know, you look back over the years and think about how easy it was to be able to just get in a van, come across to France, go and tour around Europe, have a great time without any hassle. And now it's like a lot more.
It's
paperwork. It's doable. Just a bit more of a headache.
It's totally doable. One of the things that pisses me off about it that I've noticed since we've been coming back and forth since the Carne stuff, and I shouldn't jinx this by saying it, but I'm going to say it because it's pissed me off, and I'm going to touch wood. I'm going to touch wood saying it. But so the whole carne shit. You go through the rigmarole of filling out the carne and all your gear on it, right? Everything you've got to do on it. And then you pay your 500 quid, yeah? And you get to the stop 24 or the place where you go to check your shit. Nobody checks it. Nobody fucking looks in the van. You're just paying the money for the bit of paper, like pure, proper bureaucracy. And like, okay, it's good. It's good because you don't have to be stood around stalling and whatever. But at the same time, it's annoying because you're like, this is just about money. It's about nothing else. And that's the most annoying thing, really. Like, it's just
the time that you don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's
yeah, exactly, man. Yeah.
How did you find it then coming over? It was just more paperwork.
Just paperwork. I mean, we use a company. I can't remember what they're called, but basically, we just give them 400 or 500 quid, and they sort it all out for us.
Okay.
Basically, that's what we've done. Because initially, we tried to do it ourselves, didn't we, Chris? And we went on the government website and that, and we were just like, oh my god!
You pretty much have to have a representative.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a touring agent or something like that.
Right.
So we could probably get a representative to do that. But I mean, it's just easier just getting this Rog Patterson, I think he's called.
Yeah, Rog. Yeah.
And we just basically email him. He tells us what we need to do. We send him a load of stuff. He fills it all out, sends it all off. I mean, recently we've just had this thing. So every year, when you've completed your year's worth of touring, you then have to send the carnet off to Customs Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Where it's all signed off and stuff. We sent that now about 4 weeks ago, not heard anything. Sent it special delivery. So we don't know at the moment. We don't know
what
at the
is that
moment.
for? Just in case you have to pay VAT or tax on stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, could come back with a fucking $2,000 bill. You know what I mean? You just don't know. I mean,
Even they may want to give you $2,000. Who knows?
What's annoying? You just got to jump when they say jump and do whatever they say. And, you know, it's like a lot of things now where, you know, you're trying to do something you need to do this, or you need to pay this, you need to get one of these, you need to, you know, and you just like fucking giving money out going, I don't know what any of this is for, but if I don't do it, we can't fucking carry on, you know?
Yeah.
It's like at the moment, we're getting just got a remortgaging done on the place where I live in this housing co-op. And even in that process, it's just like, you know, have you got a report say you've got no bats in the fucking roof? And it's like, well, where did this come from? You know? And then you have to just contact the people who do that and pay them a load of money. And it's all a fucking scam. Everyone's just like hands in the pocket whenever they can. You know what I mean? And it's just really annoying that you can't just, you know, there's all this red tape bureaucracy crap that you just have to keep paying for, doing whatever they say. When we say jump, you've got to jump. You know, it doesn't seem to be any way around it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you go
yeah, it's interesting times with regarding touring like that. And also, I mean, everything has to change. Things are changing all the time. The other thing for us is like when you get to Europe now, most of Europe has a 103 dB limit in all the venues, you know, which is kind of okay. You know, we don't want to make people deaf, but like Gnod, for example, we're used to going out, I think, 112, maybe even 117 is like our standard, you know, like a snare drum is 100 dB, you know what I mean? And we've got two of the cunts, you know what I mean? And it's like, so that's interesting as well, having to work around that and think about how maybe the sound needs to change for that. Or, I mean, luckily in places like when we had that issue at Guess Who, the guys at the festival, the tech crew at the festival had preempted what was going to happen. So they set us up on stage so that we felt like we were, we had it set up in a way that we could
And
get
like you sounded
the
loud.
full whack. Yeah, it was really good on the stage. And then, us being able to do that on the stage gave also our engineer a bit more headroom to mess about with on the front, even though it could only be 103. And it all went all right in the end. But you mean you're not going to have that luxury at every venue that you play at, And it sounds like a small thing, doesn't it? It seems like a really small thing. Come on, get over it. Just play at 103 dB. But there's something to be said about that drop in volume if you're used to playing louder than that. The amount of air that you're moving around the room, it's fucking important. It's part of the vibe. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
It's a thing. So I don't know. It's interesting now touring. Like it's kind of like
I noticed like at a few festivals, prices have gone up quite a bit. Have you noticed that? Ticket prices for you guys when you play?
Man, they're unbelievable, man. Sometimes I look at the ticket prices and I go, "Fuck's sake!" Like people paying 20 quid to come and see Gnod and 2 other bands or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself,
wow.
Jesus Christ, like, well, how the hell did that happen? And it's a bit mad. I mean, it's made me consider, like, how is there other ways to do gigs? Like, how, is the old ways of doing things still the proper way of doing it? Getting your booking agent to book you fucking a month of shows, playing every fucking nook and cranny in Europe, every night of the fucking week. Or is there another way of doing it? Does the whole game need to change? Instead of promoters booking you to play in their tiny little venue in some town in Germany, all these little promoters come together and put on one big gig in a more central part of it that you can get in and out. Is there another way of sort of making this work?
Yeah.
But then that means changing the whole fucking thing. Like imagine me going to Ricky at Swamp and going, okay, Ricky, change your business model. You know what I mean? Let's try this. But I mean, I'm going to get Ricky on the podcast anyway, and I'm going to and it'd be really interesting to like get his fucking take on it all. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I'd hate to be a booking agent. I'd fucking hate it. It would do my fucking head in. Oh my God, like, yeah.
Ricky Federico do it, man. It's hard work.
It is hard work, isn't it? Dealing with fuckers like me, and then dealing with
promoters, agents.
Yeah. It's fucking
It's funny what you say about maybe changing how people do gigs and stuff. Because obviously you travel with a backline and stuff, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So can you make it a bit more sustainable in the sense of like using the venues backline and stuff? So in a big van and travel a lot more environmentally friendly. What we've had a discussion about in the past, like Six Wing, but because purely for the fact I don't have a bass amp anymore.
Okay.
But I think that could be an interesting way of trying to do things.
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, we have thought about that for sure, and it is literally just a change of thinking because every musician is attached to their fucking amp, aren't they? Oh, I've got to have my amp. It's my sound, especially drummers. And I can kind of understand it with drummers. So you'd need to know you were rocking up to a gig where you had good gear at least, or just completely let go of the idea that you just like it is what it is. That's like the old ways. But I agree.
Fell foul of that once in Gulliver's in Manchester.
Oh yeah.
I think it was like something to do with a John Peel night or something. And Steve, the drummer from Mugstar, used to have this 26-inch. Don't know if you remember that. It was like a massive.
Yeah.
We were like, no, there's a backline there. We can use everything. We turned up, and the bass drum was like, it was the size of a floor tom. He wasn't.
I think I was at that gig, man. I think I was at that show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was at that show. Was that for Steve Shy? Do you remember Steve Shy? Steve the Punk?
Yeah.
I think it was one of his gigs, wasn't it?
Stroke Club.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a Stroke Club gig. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Steve the legend, man. He was a good
Yeah,
lad.
indeed.
Yeah, man. Ah, sweet. Yeah, it's one of them with touring. Like fucking, just have to see what happens. It's like something has to give with it now. Like something has to sort of change. But I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Like it'll be interesting to get Ricky or Fede on or both of them and just see what's coming down the line. Because surely they have their fucking fingers on the pulse of like what else could be coming down the line in regards to like venues and DB limits and fucking new ways of touring. You know what I mean?
Tax as well, withholding taxes. That's coming.
That's another thing. Yeah. Have you? We've been finding that a lot of the festivals we're playing in Europe now are sticking a tax on it, like a 15 to 30% withholding tax.
Really?
On the fee. Yeah. Which is a fucker.
A lot of money in it. Yeah.
Mate, it's just like
is that in certain countries or is that just all over Europe?
So Germany,
yeah.
It seems like, I mean, the ones that we're getting hit with are Germany, definitely Germany and Switzerland. I mean, Switzerland's not a surprise because Switzerland's not even in Europe, not part of Europe anyway. And Switzerland always has funny shit going on with it. But we've never had it before in Europe. Like we've never had, So we'll see. It's just one of them. We just have to see. We'll see how the touring goes this year, and then maybe
You've got a big tour coming up, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's costing us a fortune, man. Costing a fucking fortune to make it happen. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, it's always fun, and it's just an experiment. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll go back and figure out a new way of doing it. Maybe the thing to do is like do a Beatles thing, just don't tour anymore. You know what I mean? Just play on people's roofs every now and then for the crack. Yeah. But I often think about that as well. If you didn't tour for a year or 2 years, but you released a load of good music, had a couple of good albums, and got people like, really wanting to see it live, then what position could you put yourself in there now and say, don't want to tour, want to do gigs, but don't want to do the every nook and cranny of Europe tour. But you've got demand for it. Then how could you maybe work the gigs out that way? Do you know what I mean? Just do get your booking agent to try and get you on a load of good festivals, or figure out ways of doing it.
That'd be a good way of doing it. Yeah.
We're in quite a good position when we tour, though. We've always been quite merch heavy, and realise that's where you've got your fee, but your merch sales are where you actually make the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, like, if you were to tour less, you'd be selling probably less merch in these places. Maybe, I don't know. It's one of them, innit? You've got to figure out if it's worth doing 30 smaller dates or 10 bigger dates.
Yeah. Then just sell more merch.
Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it? It's a mad old game, but fuck it.
And also, if you were flying around or getting trains or public transport and having the back line at the venue, and you didn't have your van, you wouldn't be able to take that much merch around with you.
Yeah, true.
So you'd then have to organise it to be shipped to venues, I guess, or God knows.
Yeah.
So just wear it.
Yeah.
Wear it all, yeah. Everyone put 100 t-shirts on. Strip them all off.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. I mean, it just might be the thing you'd have to do. It's one of them, isn't it?
Do it if you were touring on Ryanair fucking aircraft.
Oh man, yeah.
It's one of those things. It's when I think about stuff like this, I start to think, fucking hell, why do I do this? And then I remember, because I'm just a complete energy fiend. it's all about doing the gig and just getting that little rush of energy for that hour of doing it. That's still not got boring. That's still the fucking ultimate fucking dragon to chase.
Yeah, same for me.
And it means all this other shit, merch, carnets, fucking blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really mean anything, because the main thing that matters is getting that fucking buzz out of the show. You know what I mean? It's such a weird addiction.
Never lose it, man. Never lose it.
I can't see it happening, man. Fucking addict at this stage. But sure, come here. Listen, we've rabbited on now, and we've maybe have we covered everything? Is there anything you want to cover or talk about, Jason, while we're on it here? Or
I think I'm happy with what we've spoken about. So all great.
Cool.
It's been a bit of fun to do.
Yeah, man. And let's do this again. And we can plan it. I'd like to plan it around when you've got, maybe when you've got like the domes released or something, and we can talk about that, and maybe even share some of the music of it or whatever, plan it around something you've got happening.
Yeah. All right, then.
We also want to try and help promote our friends and the good stuff that they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And that's what this is about. So
I appreciate that. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll send you some bits of music as well.
Please do.
And then if you want to put it in, please do.
Ah, nice one. Nice one, Jason, man. It's been really nice chatting to you.
Really nice, yeah. Nice to see your faces.
Yeah. We could just keep chatting for hours, really, I feel like. Do you know what I mean? But we'll save it for another time. And we'll see you around the way, innit? We'll see you around the way.
If not before, in May.
Yeah, see you in May.
Play.
Cool. Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right, brother.
Take
care.
See you later.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.